Hey everybody, welcome back to Brian's podcast. Hey, have you been wondering why these scientists have been disappearing, not only in our country, but in China and other countries, I'm sure? Maybe it's to erase stuff that they don't want you to know. Yeah, you ever think about that? Or are you not awake yet? Something going on about aerospace. Yeah. What are they trying to hide?
Are living in a cognitive Wild West.
We really are living in a cognitive Wild West.
Living in a cognitive Wild West.
A cognitive Wild West.
Most people have near zero mimetic defenses or cognitive security suited for the age of synthetic media.
Near zero mimetic defenses
or cognitive security suited for the age of synthetic media.
The age of synthetic media.
The age of synthetic media.
Synthetic media.
Whatever immunity you have is worn down by the constant expectation of deception.
Whatever immunity you have is
Worn down by the
constant expectation
Of deception.
The constant expectation of deception.
Worst of all,
You've already epistemically surrendered.
You've already
epistemically
Surrendered.
Worst of all, you've already epistemically surrendered.
Worst of all, you've already epistemically surrendered.
Is this why they murdered David Wilcock? I mean, why he committed suicide?
The DS is very, very adamantly fighting to prevent you from learning about extraterrestrials. That's the last thing they want you to know about. They want you to be afraid. They want you to see them as gods, to see them as authority figures. The last thing they want is for you to understand there's a higher power that answers Christianity, answers Islam, answers Buddhism, answers Hinduism. It pays off all of these ancient teachings that we've inherited that often become religions.
The deep state doesn't want...
So they want to be looked at as gods. Wow. That sounds Satanist. But listen to David Wilcox. He put out a lot of good stuff.
want you to know the truth about extraterrestrials and aliens, but the President of the United States in February said that he's directing all agencies to release all of those related files, and then all of these UFO researchers and scientists end up... You have to wonder if the information you're going to be getting is not all of it. Kind of like some other files. Now, no one's really around to tell you otherwise. As always, let me know what you think about all of this down below. Turns out it's not just scientists in the United States that have been dying lately of mysterious deaths. It's happening in China, too. At least 9 scientists have mysteriously died in China, and the causes of death are recorded as accidents, sickness, or unexplained incidents. Here are some examples. Zhang Daibing, 47, died in January of unexplained causes. He was the expert former deputy director of unmanned systems. Fang Dining, 68, died of an unexpected medical episode in February of 2026. He was a hypersonics expert studying materials for spacecraft and advanced engines at the Beijing Institute of Technology. Yan Hong died just last month at age 56 of a reported illness. She was in the field of hypersonics research. Some of the other scientists were in the field of military AI, including swarming technology and simulations. Sound familiar? And even their media is calling this extremely uncommon. Mainstream media is already saying that this could be espionage and that scientists have always been a political target, even though there is no evidence to support that. But I have to wonder if countries are actually working together to get rid of their smartest people so that they can't question whatever narrative is to come. What do you think? As always, let me know down below.
You gotta kind of wonder what they're hiding, because that's what they do. They like to paint the narrative and brainwash you to think what they want you to think. So why are they offing scientists? A lot to do with UFOs and propulsions and stuff they don't want you to know. Wow.
2 more scientists that worked with NASA have just died in a private plane crash, and this time it's a father and son, marking number 14 and 15 in the growing list that have recently vanished or been found dead. The father, James Moffett, spent 2 decades working for the military and directly with NASA before he moved on to advanced aerospace research. And his son, Andrew, was a research engineer and scientist that also worked with NASA and propulsion systems at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Why does that sound familiar?
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I know I've said that several times. We're the Rocket City. We're the biggest steal you've never heard of. We won the space race here in Alabama, whether you've heard of it or not.
The whole Huntsville family was on board when the plane crashed for reasons unknown, and authorities are saying that the investigation is going to take about a year. If you're wondering how we went from number 12 on the list, David Wilcock, number 14 and number 15, Joshua LeBlanc, a NASA scientist that vanished last June, was found burned in his Tesla, marking number 13. Oh, I don't know what's going on or why these scientists are being taken out, but what I do know is that it's not,
I don't know, coincidence, if you want it, whatever you want to call it. But
as always, I want to hear what you think about all of this down below.
welcome to the fucking show.
When you look at things from a critical standpoint, you will know that there's a lot of strange things that's happening in the world right now, and a lot of people don't have the mental and spiritual fortitude to fathom what the fuck is going on, because when you look around, you got the economic system shaking up, you got governments panicking, and then you got the wars escalating, and then you have the rise of artificial intelligence and technology. But the crazy thing is that history operates on the same circular historical pattern. Because right before every collapse, you get the same damn distractions, the same chaos and confusion every damn time. Stop calling people conspiracy theories just because your motherfucking ass don't read. Because when it comes to the chosen ones, we're observing, we're preparing, and we're watching the timeline unfold because we understand the patterns intuitively. Pay attention to the signs, because when history goes through a spiritual metamorphosis, the chosen ones that was paying attention become the leaders of the next world. The ones that was castigated, scrutinized, the ones that was called weird and conspiracy theorists, those are going to be your leaders of the next world. So with that being said, salute to the chosen ones who have the ability to see the energetic shifts inside the simulation. Y'all the real commodity.
They told you David Wilcock was crazy for saying most aliens are demons masquerading as extraterrestrials, and that governments use black project drones to fake UFO sightings and hide the real deception. He was one of the loudest voices exposing it. Then on April 20th, 2026, David Wilcock was found dead in Colorado. Officials ruled it suicide within hours. The same government that spent a decade hunting Osama bin Laden tracked him to a fortified compound in Pakistan, executed a precision raid on foreign soil without detection, and confirmed his identity through DNA analysis, suddenly can't properly investigate the suspicious death of a man who spent 25 years exposing their secrets. Same system, same selective blindness, same protection for the powerful. This is not incompetence. This is deliberate. SigilumAlexio.com.
Let's think about it.
You got to kind of think about this for a little bit. Use your knowledge. They have all this technology to do all these things, but they can't investigate crap. And, you know, it's pretty much because the narrative is not there unless they tell you it is. Just like when officers, cops, investigate themselves, you know, how does that work? You know, if I could investigate myself, I would be innocent of everything. And boy, oh boy.
This investor brings hell to our house 3 times. I was present for one of the times. I happened to be home from Seattle at the same time that Hal came over, and I sat with him in my dining room over there at the dining room table, and he was talking about ultra-terrestrials. And basically, ultra-terrestrials are like, he talks about extraterrestrial. Extra implies that they're from somewhere else, from the inside.
The extra is certain ones of us got extra DNA that will be unraveled.
Extra implies they're from not here, from Africa. Ultra-terrestrial
They're from the Delta.
They're not necessarily from the outside, they're from here.
Oh.
They're from the future. They're from the future, and they're trying to stop what's about to happen.
My hands have been burned to hell and back as I've been typing. Because you can beam me through there and through there, and you can get a 3D image of what I'm typing. Because this computer doesn't have a Wi-Fi card, you can't hack it, but you can maybe get a 3D image of me typing. So like we just did that, and did that as an act of pure desperation. And guess what? I feel better immediately. Like, my hands still burn because there's damage. But it's like my body relaxed when we barricaded the shit. And it was like, like relief. Like immediately.
In there with those frequencies, I remember when we went and got the other president and we kidnapped him, and then they put out that frequency that made the soldiers and stuff drop to their knees just with hitting them with the frequency, and their ears and their eyes and stuff were bleeding.
I found out that I was being physically surveilled by the following method. My ex-boyfriend and I realized that people had been breaking into our apartment while we were gone together in the same vehicle. And so like, I'm in the apartment, I'm about to go to work, and I'm like, why don't you take out the trash and scope out the parking lot and make sure it's okay before I go to work? So he goes out there and he's like, there's this weird fucking Lexus. It's like a silver Lexus. This is a shitty apartment. Like, why is there really nice Lexus in the parking lot? And it has tinted windows that are not street legal. Like just totally dark, totally black tinted windows that are not possibly street legal. And so he comes back in and we're standing in our bedroom window looking at the Lexus and talking about it. And I say out loud, maybe we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate. Because the Lexus is across the parking lot from us, but it's backed in so you can't see the license plate. Within 2 minutes of me saying, hey, we should walk over there later and take a picture of the license plate, we were still standing there at the window looking at it, talking about it, and an Eastern European looking motherfucker with a black beanie, dressed all in black, in his 50s or 60s, walked out of the apartment directly across from ours holding a license plate. And he opened the trunk of the Lexus and he took out some tools and he changed the license plate right in front of our fucking faces. And then he walked back to his apartment and he put the old license plate on the front patio and went inside, left it outside. And it was literally like, come get the license plate. I have more where this came from. Come get the license plate. And then after that, the Lexus started tailing me. And every time I saw the Lexus, it had a different license plate. It would be like Alabama plates, a different state plate. It would be random dealer plates, none of which were local. Just like cardboard temporary dealer plates, none of which were any local dealers. Every time I saw it, it was different plates. It would follow me to the gas station to go get beer. I would go get beer at the gas station and that Lexus follows me. And even my ex called an Uber once. He called an Uber. The Lexus pulled out from the spot across the parking lot from our apartment, drove over to our apartment and said, hey, I'm your Uber, here to pick you up. The license matched in the Uber app, but they didn't have an Uber sticker or a Lyft sticker. You can't drive Uber if you don't have an Uber sticker. He pulled out of his spot across from our apartment where he lived and drove over there to pick him up and said, hey, I'm your Uber, here to pick you up. They changed the license plate right in front of our face. Like 60 seconds after I said, hey, we should go take a picture of that license plate.
Greg Rogers coming back once more. This time I want to address the 11 military personnel and scientists that have gone missing or dead over the recent time. A particular concern to me is the fact that General McCaslin, who disappeared just outside of Albuquerque, disappeared just a half mile from where my good friend Linda Moulton Howe lives. I know that she's very disturbed about it, as am I. The sudden, rapid and recurring disappearances and deaths are very unusual, especially considering the quality of the personnel who went missing and disappeared or were found dead. I've dealt with high-level personnel my entire career, and these are not people who would routinely do things of this sort, and yet they would be involved with operations and research projects that would put them in knowledge of very important things. Of concern to me is the fact that since I have come out with the revelation that I saw a reverse engineered UFO, I have been harassed, and it is of concern to me that I do not become the 12th person on that list. So I want to go on record as saying that I have this concern. I am not going to walk off into the woods. I'm not going to kill myself or do anything of that sort. So if you hear reports that something has happened to me, I want you to remember this video.
But we're not going to wait forever, and I don't want you to be tired either. I want you to be prepared. I want you to be ready. I want you to psychologically and emotionally prepare yourself for what will be the most stunning events you've ever seen in your entire life. That is what we're heading into. It is not going to stay like this, where people can still be skeptical and they can still be annoying and they can still say, well, I don't know if I believe any of this stuff. You will not have that luxury anymore. You will not have the luxury of denying what is going on. You will not have the luxury of being ignorant. It's become so obvious for those who are, even with possessing minimal insight, that there is something very, very crazy going on. That the world is being run not the way we were told in school, not the way you're told on television, but there's something else going on. It's dark, it's weird, it's scary. There is a monster under the bed. We're really being held back by the people who don't see this yet, and the reason typically they don't see it is political ideology and fear.
Wow, my mind is blown. It is not just David Wilcock that has just passed away, but other experts and colleagues in his field have also passed away, and they were all associated or featured in the show Ancient Aliens on the History Channel. And now it's caused plasma physicist John Brandenburger. He posted this AI image and this message that says, "Dear friends, I have been told I am in danger as an anti-gravity and Mars investigator. But I tell you now that all humanity is now in danger. But so are the cover-up helpers. I urge a blanket amnesty for all in the cover-up who end it. Take this amnesty while you still can." Now, this is considered a conspiracy theory. It is what Dr. John Brandenburger is alleging. But we also have a scientist who was working on anti-gravity. Anti-gravity. Isn't that what Amy Eskridge, one of the scientists who allegedly took her own life, was working on? You remember Amy, she was one of the scientists who have mysteriously disappeared or passed away. Yes, she was working on anti-gravity. And if you watch the videos I've posted of her, she was claiming that she was about to allegedly expose it to the public via her Institute of Exotic Science in Huntsville. So if Dr. John Brandenburger has also been researching anti-gravity and Mars, I think it's legitimate for him to feel scared. So the rabbit hole took me down to this. All these men are linked to the show Ancient Aliens on the History Channel, and they have all allegedly passed away. And you guys know that I have to say allegedly, right? And I have to say that this could all be a conspiracy theory. It is all alleged. A ton of other professionals and colleagues from the show, including Nick Pope and Eric Von Daniken.
The DS is very, very adamantly fighting to prevent you from learning about extraterrestrials. That's the last thing they want you to know about. They want you to be afraid. They want you to see them as gods, to see them as authority figures. The last thing they want is for you to understand there's a higher power that answers Christianity, answers Islam, answers Buddhism, answers Hinduism. It pays off all of these ancient teachings that we've inherited that often become religions. And we find out that these are not mythological texts. These are actual, documented, factual, historical accounts. The Bible has ET contact. The Quran has ET contact. Buddhist scriptures have multiple examples of ET contact. So does the Hebrew scriptures. I mean, it's everywhere. So we're going to have a big awakening. And as I've said before, I have been used by these higher beings telepathically to convey a message, which is the earth changes that we were afraid were going to happen, pole shift, solar flash, tsunami, all that stuff, that's not going to be happening. We're actually going to be spared these disasters because we've learned the lessons that Jesus meant to teach us, to be loving towards other people. Enough of us have learned these lessons of love. Joy Berman just donated, thank you very much. We've learned these lessons of love so that we don't have to go through this catastrophe. We've authorized a positive timeline. And so it's very important to understand that the most jealously guarded secrets by the DS are the forbidden technologies. This is the most dangerous thing to talk about. They will threaten you the most. They will attack you the most. They will take intelligence assets and put them on you. Those intelligence assets are told that you're full of crap, told that you're a con artist, told that you're lying. The assets don't even know that you're telling the truth. And their job is just to try to attack you and ruin your life. And they're very tenacious. I'm going to show you some examples of this today. I would want the world to know about Ascension. I would want the world to know that we are very, very close. And all the people on the inside know this. This is the key of disclosure. We are very close to some sort of energetic shift that the sun is going to do. There have already been multiple experiments, I've heard this from several insiders, in which they take ordinary folks and they put them into a room and they zap them with the energy that our sun is going to give off when we go through this change. Become very blissed out. They start to get really telepathic. They can move things with their mind. Everybody kind of goes into a psychedelic trip. Our government knows that this is going to happen, where there's no veil left, where we are wide open.
Watching you.
Becoming something like the solar flash is going to happen next year in 2025. They call it the first wave of ascension, but they say that it will not destroy the Earth. We will not have a pole shift. We won't have catastrophic waves that sweep over the continents from the ocean, but we are going to see apparently this massive consciousness awakening event where people start to develop superhero type of abilities. This might be why the superhero shows like Iron Man and all these other comic book Marvel hero movies are so popular. We might be getting ready to be turned into superheroes, and according to Archangel Michael, the degree of spirituality that you have, the degree of Christ consciousness, how loving you are, how humble you are, how much you have service to others, is going to determine how much ability you will gain when this happens.
John, next thing you're going to tell me is that the government is harvesting penguin pineal glands. What? Why? What's going on? Shipment of frozen penguin glands? This was declassified. So what, this was in 2005? Why? Well, it turns out a whistleblower has come forward to talk about why. Desperate attempt to reverse engineer the third eye function that humanity lost. Apparently penguins' pineal glands are disproportionately large and hyper-responsive to magnetic fields. Extreme pineal stimulation. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Apparently penguin research masks gland harvesting. Gee, well, I didn't have that on the bingo card. Guess we know why that penguin was heading for the mountain, though. But think about it.
Something that happens in the realm of consciousness as a result of music. In other words, it is more than just something pretty or something exciting. It actually changes the brain and can cause a deep change in the corpus callosum, which is the bridge connecting the left and right hemisphere. We combine music with silence. When they asked the Buddha, what's the easiest way for a person to get to nirvana, Buddha said, sound. Music is processed in more regions of the brain than we ever imagined. Music is a great example of how different parts of the brain can act together. Music can have a profound, even physical effect on the brain. Even physical effect on the brain. Music may actually affect brain size. When he compared the brain scans of 30 musicians with those of 30 non-musicians, he found a corpus callosum cable that neurons connecting the brain's left and right hemisphere, the bridge from the left to the right. And keep in mind, you are desperately trying to get from the left to the right. And he found that the corpus callosum, that bridge connecting the left and the right, were larger among musicians. When the patients played drums or sang along with their songs, their serum melatonin levels skyrocketed. So according to the scientists, there is something that happens in the realm of consciousness as a result of music. In other words, it is more than just something pretty or something exciting. It actually changes the brain and can cause a deep change in the corpus callosum, which is the bridge connecting the left and right hemisphere.
Everything is a what? A frequency, right? Think about what those frequencies. We feed off of the frequencies. Now,
So music is a good thing. It's like this. If you're evil, you're going to use things as an evil way. But if you're good, you're going to use things as a good way. But the music, well, there you go. Just grow your brain. Remember, even in the Bible, it states that they had trumpets and they played music. So, yeah.
People are gonna have to realize, like, this, it ain't made up.
they're trying to disconnect us.
That's it's an abomination to God. Repent. Kingdom of God is at hand.
So y'all, I was looking at the Artemis flight path, right? And I was like, something about this just looked real familiar. It feels familiar. It wasn't necessarily bad or good. It was just like, bruh, I know this from somewhere. So then, boom, it hit me. I knew exactly where I recognized this. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Mm.
Let me give you a better visual. Right there.
Crazy.
It's the G-clef. Y'all, this is the same shape, the same motion, and the same loop, right? And it got me thinking, like, okay, now that I know what it is, what exactly does the G-clef do? Because that's how my brain be working, y'all. And we live in a universe. One song, but different parts being played at the same time, right? I literally wrote a book about it. So y'all, this is a G-clef, and it's not just a symbol, it is a reference point. So it takes one invisible frequency and it anchors it to a visible system. So y'all, it tells you, boom, this is where G lives, right? Right there on that line. And then from there, you understand everything else. Everything else makes sense. It's an anchor point right around that line. The harmonic relationship between the notes that create the song, that make the verses. So the clef is an interface between raw frequency, which is invisible, right? And structured meaning, which becomes visible, right? And y'all, that is exactly what your nervous system does. You are constantly receiving signals that you cannot see and turning them into something that you can understand. And your reality is a shared agreement about what those signals mean. So as I look at this image, y'all, from our partners at the NASA European Space Agency, I do not see a flight path. I see a loop around an anchor. Something leaving, curving, and returning to stabilize a reference point. And right now, y'all, people don't agree on what this means. Some people see truth, others see theater, right? But that ain't even the interesting part. The interesting part is that the collective field has not decided yet. So I have a system that I designed called the Chroma Chord, right? I don't think I've introduced that to y'all yet. But it's just a way that I map patterns through numbers. So it ain't nothing too wild, just, pattern recognition. So the note G vibrates at 392 hertz. So I ran it through my system. 3 is expression. The signal gets sent. 9 is completion, where the full pattern becomes visible. And 2 is the reflection or relational response. This is where the field reacts. And y'all, this is exactly where we at. The signal was sent, the pattern is becoming visible, and now the response is forming. And I'm not here to tell you what this is. I am here to show you the pattern. because once you see the anchor, you can decide for yourself what everything else means. So the last thing I want to point out is like how it almost looks like a mirror inverse image of the G-clef symbol. But listen, this is the type of stuff I like to talk about, y'all. So meet me in the comments because I want to know what y'all think about this.
So I want you to check this out. Anybody ever said they faked the space shuttle stuff? Well, you know, and notice that Illuminati sign or Mason sign on that left picture above the chips. But this kind of shows you how they faked some of the stuff.
Let's get back to it.
Renee publicity, but it's all we have hanging around.
Yeah, I see you pushing up and down. Pull that toward. Okay, that's good.
Wow. Two of the astronauts on the Artemis mission are literal actors. You can see that this one was in Fallout and this one was in Mad Max. Why would they hire actors to go to the moon? Isn't that concerning?
Understand that you've been wired to the cloud, and they created an engineering interface, meaning that they took the chakras, okay? And they wired them. All these chakras are wired to these little stars on the body that I post here, and they're called nodes. So they're a little N. Then they have these big things, and I give different colors so you can understand. Then over top of your heart is something called a radio frequency sync. And what that does is it collects signals and makes them stronger. These people that have enslaved us in such a way that once I do finally get the good humans of the world to be like, you mean like, wait a minute, like, can I try to understand you crazy woman? This is going to shut up. Yeah, I'm not shutting up. It's not going to happen. This is worse than Egypt. You want to spray a nanopolymer on a polygon and have it grab up my skin or try to, that's one thing. But this is totally different. But you're so upset. You're going to be way more pissed than me. Trust me. I know how to use my body part. I can hear things coming. I do it all the time to teach people how to use their body part. You don't even know you have one yet. So here's some magnets. I would never take these magnets, put super glue on them, and put them on my fingernails. Why? Well, because then if I use Gorilla Glue to do that, it's going to tear my hand off the top. So I made teeny tiny little electromagnetic fields back in 2005. 2005, we have 802.15.4. Okay? That is the IEEE standard for routing data through human tissue. Zigbee and Bluetooth. Well, gosh, it looks exactly like that, doesn't it? Look at the little symbols. Yeah. Map going back and forth. Signals between human brains. You mean human biofields, the electromagnetic fields of humans? To do what? To watch their empathy, telepathy, precognition, and telekinetics, because we wirelessly tissue engineer to make sure that none of that's happening for you. That belongs to the military, too.
This video might actually save your life, so I want you to pay attention. Right here we have an image from 1960. These are visible sound waves projected through an acoustic device, and beside it is a satellite image. Now, have you guys ever looked up in the sky and see these ripples happening? It's a phenomenon happening in our skies that's been documented all over the world. This is not random. This is not by chance. This is not God's creation. It's making these patterns in the sky is something called HAARP, High Active Auroral Research Program. 360 antennas linked together beaming ELF waves in the ionosphere run by the military. Right here, this is the culprit. Droughts, hurricanes, tsunamis, right here. What they're doing is they're spraying chemtrails from plane, and they're using HAARP to disperse these chemicals across the sky, block out the sun, and eventually fall on us. Go ahead and do a little bit of research. You'll know that our soil is full of heavy metals. We are full of heavy metals. The bees are full of heavy metals. This is what it's from. It has never been more important to detox our bodies. There's a massive plan going on with these heavy metals, with 5G tower, and so much more that I can't even talk about here. You need to know that you need to detox now. Remember that.
So there you go. It's for educational purposes only. And detoxing, I do it every day. Maybe use some baking soda in your water a little bit, a little pinch. That's really good. I heard borax was really good, a little pinch of that too. I mean, it is all natural. Look at the ingredients. So, yeah, these things you're going to have to decide for yourself. And some of you are, you know, conspiracy theory. Oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Or some of you are waking up now and you're starting to see, you know, you're not looking at the ground no more. you're looking around and you're seeing this crazy shit. Hey, subscribe.